Be sure to wear your mittens and your galoshes, and don't forget to ride. And welcome to Rubber Chicken with a podcast in the middle, a podcast all about the Monkey Island series of adventure games. In this episode, we're grabbing a grog and counting down our top 10 secondary characters from the first two games in the series, The Secret of Monkey Island and Monkey Island 2, LeChuck's Revenge.
Well, gee, I feel a little guilty now.
Alright, so one of these stupid websites, whatever it is, IGN, I don't even know what that stands for. What does that stand for?
Bastion of high quality, totally not paid for reporting. IG.
Totally, that's what it stands for. It's had another little update about, from Ron.
Yeah.
And one of the takeaway things is the fact that how they're dealing with the continuity. And the fact that the later three games are apparently still canon. And people care about that.
I think this article actually had some, like, a continuity error or something in the... Like, it didn't explain it properly or something like that.
No.
If I recall correctly, or maybe it was a different article.
Yeah, this has been the only kind of bit of news, I think, the last week or so. And they keep talking about how, Tales and Escape, all these games, they're still canon and everything. But all they do is mention Murray. And I get the feeling that it's going to be like Secret and LeChuck's Revenge are canon, and we'll acknowledge that bits of Curse existed. And I feel like that's going to be it.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people online who are trying to explain in their heads, how's this going to fit with Return slotting in between Revenge and Curse? I don't know why people have got it into their heads that...
Yeah, the point is it's not.
Return is going to, because I don't think it is.
No,
I think
this is going to be its own game.
I mean, people seem to have completely overlooked what Ron and Dave said about how it would be really difficult to place Return by the sounds of things. You know, it happens after Revenge, and basically they would just go with whatever from the later games they liked and not use stuff that they wouldn't.
I think so. They'll pick and choose. Or Guybrush will encounter Murray and recognise him, and that'll be that. I think that's all it's going to be.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's just going to be that Murray will be in it and Guybrush will know who he is.
Yeah, or he meets Murray for the first time or something. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, do you think Guybrush and Elaine are going to be married is the other thing? I mean, it doesn't really matter, but...
I think that might be... I think all of these details might just be kind of glossed over.
Yeah, I don't think they're very important.
No.
By the sounds of things, for what Ron and Dave want to do. I think they more just want to make a game that continues on from the first two. Yeah. And just has little nods to stuff or uses stuff from the later ones that they thought they could work with.
I think Elaine being married to Guybrush is kind of not part of this kind of narrative. There's a reason that kind of like the trope is that you get the girl in the end, and they kind of dealt with that well in LeChuck's Revenge where he'd lost the girl.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the many clever things about Revenge. And it's in the aftermath of the unsuccessful relationship.
Yeah, exactly. And they in Curse they managed to kind of push that out as well a bit further, but that's why maybe Escape and Tales, the characterization of Elaine is a bit pointless. And that, she has to be there, but at the same time, why have her there?
Feels like the writers don't know what to do with her.
Yeah, exactly. Like, imagine if the same Bond girl kept coming back every time. You know, not to equate this to something like James Bond, but it's just not kind of part of this kind of storytelling, in my opinion.
To me, it's almost like the way it's handled in Tales, to make a very kind of weak analogy, but when we talk about Tales more, I always talk about how much I feel like, for some reason, I feel like they were thinking about Zelda when they made Tales.
Yeah, you keep mentioning that.
And I feel like Elaine's role in Tales is like Zelda's role in some of the games, where she kind of helps you out on the side or gives you a quest or something like that, and maybe you have to rescue her, maybe you don't.
Yeah.
But she's just this sort of peripheral character where it's almost like it's a Zelda game. We have to have Zelda. It's almost like it's a Monkey Island game. Elaine, after Curse, Elaine has to be there to kind of be Guybrush's, I don't know, conscience or something like that. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be treated that way in Return at all.
No, I'm not sure it's going to be relevant anyway. I wonder how big a role Elaine will play.
Yeah, I think if she's in it, I strongly suspect that the relationship between the two of them is going to be quite distant, like it was in Revenge, would be my guess.
Yeah.
Just going by the slightly uneasy vibe I'm getting from some of the artwork and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. And that, as you said, that's one of the great things about Revenge, and that scene, which we will discuss when you first meet up again with Elaine and she kind of hates your guts and you have to talk her around.
Yeah.
That's a really great scene.
Yeah, and I feel like I don't get the impression that Return is going to be like a fun, happy, light game like Escape or anything like that. I mean, we don't have much to go on yet, but
no, going on there.
I get the impression it feels like this is going to be a slightly moodier, more atmospheric experience.
Yeah,
and
we're going to be going back to that kind of the Three Trials kind of atmosphere.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Guybrush's relationship with the established characters is probably going to have a bit more distance.
I hope so.
It.
I also hope
a bit more interesting.
Yeah, exactly. And I hope that we're not too reliant on established characters because that's boring.
No, and I hope that Elaine and LeChuck as well are used in an interesting way.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what we keep saying, right? I don't care what they do as long as it's interesting.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You and I have been replaying Tales.
Yeah.
And the recurring characters aren't used in an interesting way, especially LeChuck and Elaine, especially Elaine.
Yeah, I think, and again, it's something we'll go into in more detail when we look at specific chapters of Tales, but Elaine in Tales, it feels like they didn't know what to do with her.
No.
Elaine feels like Elaine in both Escape and Tales feels like two different kinds of sitcom character.
Yeah, like a long-suffering wife kind of thing.
Yeah, it's two slightly different takes on that character.
Yeah.
And I think it's handled in a more interesting way in the first two games. Elaine barely does anything in the third, unfortunately, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she's still kind of a damsel in distress, but also they wrote her out so that they didn't have to deal with her. And that,
yeah, exactly.
I don't mind that so much. And that's probably one of the reasons Curse works better than the later two.
Yeah, because they don't have to try to navigate the game around Guybrush having some established relationship with Elaine.
Exactly.
Because if you have Elaine just there, they have to find something to do with her.
Yeah.
And they seem to not know what to do.
Yeah, well, that's what it comes down to, really. Don't have characters in there that you need to find something for them to do.
Yeah.
Don't have Han Solo at the end of Return of the Jedi if he's got nothing to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that was kind of the one bit of news
that
we were going to discuss. Now, last time on this amazing podcast, we were going to look at part 3 of Tales, Lair of the Leviathan.
Yeah.
You and I have been playing through from the beginning of Tales so that we had a bit of context. It's been a while since you and I have played
Tales. It's been a long time.
So we didn't want to just leap in and play Lair of the Leviathan straight off the bat.
I tried it and I had no idea what was going on.
Yeah. I didn't try it, and so I've just been going to the beginning, and it's taken me longer than expected. Therefore, we're doing this other idea today.
Yeah.
So stay tuned.
Catch up with that, yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully Lair of the Leviathan next time, and then we'll move on from there. So I had this idea just for a bit of a fun natter.
Yep.
Where we would look at the top 10 characters, top 10 side characters, top 10 secondary characters.
Yep.
From the first two games, from The Secret of Monkey Island and Monkey Island 2: LeChuck's Revenge. And part of this was Part of the reason for doing this today was that I feel like we haven't even mentioned Secret, and we're up to episode 6.
Yeah, we have
Secret's
not
awesome.
talked about Secret a lot.
No. And so while planning for this today, I said my top 10 characters I think are all from Secret. So we decided to go separately. You would do the top 10 secondary characters from LeChuck's Revenge, and I would do the top 10 secondary characters from The Secret of Monkey Island.
Yeah, and I think originally our idea was to talk about the whole series, but I think there are too many characters. There are too many good characters in Curse to do, especially to do all of them justice in one list.
Exactly. So we'll do that again later.
Yeah. And one of the things that's such a highlight about all of the games is the well, maybe not Tales, but most of the games is their enjoyable cast of interesting secondary characters. So it was actually quite hard to put a list together of top 10 from Revenge. And there's quite a lot of honourable mentions as well. But who do we want to go first?
I'll go first, as I've got the first game. Do we want to start with honourable mentions or just go with the list?
I reckon quickly run through your honourable mentions. Who didn't make the list that you still want to give a nod to?
So honourable mentions, I've got 2. Cobb.
Yep.
Who was the pirate in the Scum Bar advertising Loom.
Yeah, he's actually a character from Loom.
Yes.
He's Bishop Mandible's assistant from Loom.
Same bald guy. And he's wearing a funny kind of Disneyland
like
pirate
a
hat.
child's pirate hat with a strap on it.
And just talks to you about Loom, and if you ask him anything else, he just says, aye.
Yeah.
And the head of the Navigator.
Oh, that's a good choice.
Thank you.
Hey, what good's a necklace if you don't have shoulders?
Yeah, good. So a few little sarcastic lines. I always like the fact that to get the necklace off him, you just had to beg him, and eventually he'd give it to you.
Threaten him.
Yeah, and you could punch him. I always thought that was funny.
Yeah.
So I also had kind of honourable mention list 2, which were characters just too stupid not to mention. Too stupid to and to not mention.
Yeah.
So on that list, I've got Spiffy.
Nice.
The Scumbar's dog.
Mm-hmm.
Famously missing the close-up in the original release of the game, which was then...
Yeah, visible on the back of the boxer in a magazine or something, right?
Yeah.
But never actually implemented in the game.
Or then re-implemented in Special Edition.
Yes.
Only reason to get Special Edition.
Yeah, in a very different way to how he looked in that artwork where he looks like this kind of dopey, Snoopy looking dog, but in Special Edition he looks a lot more realistic.
Yeah, I think the first thing I did when I got Special Edition was talk to him and then cut back to
see if
he'd been put in, but it hadn't. Classic artwork hadn't been put in. The other honourable mentions in the stupid list are Herman's friend, Herman's unnamed friend.
the dead
corpse.
captain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got 2 more. Aunt Tilly. Otis's aunt, who smuggled him a carrot cake. And Dominique.
Yeah, the probably non-existent
barber.
Barber who was retconned into existence in Curse.
Yes. Sorry, it may be Dominic. Dominic? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it's Dominique, isn't it?
I thought so.
I can't remember.
I'll add Sven to the list as well.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Who could forget Sven?
Yeah. I'm not even going to explain that reference. You should know if you're listening to this.
Yeah, and it is Dominique. I just checked the script.
Okay, well, speaking of Dominique, that gives me my number 10, Citizen of Melee.
Yep, nice.
Thank you. So, standing on the street corner. Thank you.
Yeah.
Standing on the street corner, selling what he claims are maps, but they're actually dancing instructions. Clearly kind of a underground, shady drug dealer type character. I always liked his big coat. When he opens the big coat, the animation of him showing you the map.
Yeah, I think this is a very mid to late 20th century reference. The idea of the smuggler or the black marketeer with the big coat, that he'd probably have Swiss watches or something inside, standing on a street corner, in a tourist spot or in a city or something, who might whisper to people, oh, I've got something valuable that I can sell you for a bargain price.
Yeah.
It's probably one of those references that maybe people wouldn't get if they were coming to this
A little lost
now, like
yeah.
younger people and stuff, possibly.
Yeah, definitely that type of character that you're describing. There's not much else to him. It's just a shady little character.
Yeah.
I always like the graphic. I used to try to make him out of Lego by making a little coat out of paper.
Yeah, I remember that. I have a very clear memory of that.
Yeah.
And I like that he is citizen of Melee as well. That's a very subtle bit of humour, that this obvious criminal is referred to in this euphemistic way.
This is a person who lives here.
Yeah, he's a respectable citizen almost, maybe, is the implication.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Until you dig under the surface.
And I like that if you bug him too much, he tells you to go away and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Excuse me, but do you have a cousin named Sven?
No, but I once had a barber named Dominique.
I might run through my honourable mentions as well.
Yeah.
These are the people that I wanted to mention who didn't make the list, because it was very difficult, and I have, in true Monkey Island 2 Guybrush fashion, cheated quite a bit on my list. But here are the honourable mentions.
Yep.
Okay. The librarian on Fat Island.
Yep.
Yeah, gotta love how cranky she is and yet how happy she looks when she's scooting around on her desk chair
that's right.
around the library with a big grin on her face. Yep. The Fisherman, where'd you get that other pipe?
Oh, I thought he would have made the list, actually. He was going to make my list.
The Fisherman didn't make the list, unfortunately, but that's why he's here.
Yep.
Wants you to eat the fish raw with the head still on, not on rice with some wasabi and soy sauce. Ralphie, the gambler on Fat Island.
Yep.
All right. Sadly, Ralphie didn't make the list. The Spitmaster was another honourable mention.
Yes, that was on my list.
So many great characters in Revenge. And Bernard, the chef at the Bloody Lip, who has, I think, 2 or 3 lines in the whole thing, but I love the animation of him walking out of the bar with the holding up his rubber glove clad hands in front of his face like he's got soapy water on them or something like that.
Yeah, one of those characters in the tradition of Monkey Island that you absolutely ruin in order to advance yourself.
Yeah. You completely screw this guy over.
Yeah.
Make it look like he's making rat soup.
The rat is still alive, though. If you look back in the pot, it's swimming around enjoying itself.
Yeah. The rat was
a
not
cold
harmed.
soup.
Yeah. And I also, a bit like you, I had a secondary list. These were characters too obvious to include. Mm-hmm. Okay. Largo, Wally, and Captain Dread were all too obvious to include in this list. I wanted to dig a little bit deeper than that, because those are characters we could easily talk about in a broader context of the separate parts of the game.
Yeah, of course. So obviously we're not going to include Guybrush, Elaine, Stan, the Voodoo Lady.
Or LeChuck.
Or LeChuck, yes.
Yeah. Although I was going to mention as well, I have one other non-choice, which is Chucky. He is indeed a separate character.
Maybe that'll be revealed. We'll have to revise this list.
I thought about including that just to be annoying, but I decided not to. And my number 10 choice is Rum Rogers.
Yes, of course. Junior.
Only Junior in a retcon.
Right, of course.
Yeah. Retconned into being the son of Mr. Rogers, the first mate of the Elaine by curse.
Yes.
In Revenge itself, it's not clear how he's related to Mr. Rogers. My hypothesis is that he's meant to be his brother.
Right, okay.
Because I think that Mr. Rogers is not meant to have died that long ago.
No, I don't suppose.
And Mr. Rogers is never called Rum, and Rum Rogers is never called Rum Rogers Jr. in Revenge.
Okay, this is where you get confused. If you're following the curse continuity.
Yeah, you have to forget everything about curse if you want to go into this. it's all a bit confusing. Rum Rogers says he inherited the house, but he also says he bought the house.
Yeah.
And he's only referred to as Rum Rogers by Guybrush. He never introduces himself.
Right, okay.
So it's I don't know where now Guybrush knows his name, but I think he's meant to be Mr. Rogers' brother.
Right, okay. Because after playing Curse so much, I always feel like the skeleton in the bathtub is Rum Rogers Sr. and this is Rum Rogers Jr.
Yeah,
That's kind of what they've tried to imply.
That's the curse retcon. We have to think the skeleton in the bathtub is Mr. Rogers.
Yeah, okay, let's
and the
stick
man
all that.
upstairs is Rum Rogers.
And upstairs.
But how are they related? Not clear. I think they're meant to be brothers,
Yes.
but it's not entirely evident. We do know that Mr. Rogers was retired, and Rum Rogers says he's retired as well. So, and I think they're probably meant to be around the same age.
Right, okay.
Actually. And Rum brews his own extremely strong grog with both a higher alcohol and higher calorie concentration.
Yes. Is this the only
than
point
the
of the
regular
series that we actually see Guybrush drink grog or alcohol?
I think it's one of the... that's a good question. I think it's one of the few
In
occasions...
the first two games, anyway.
In the first two games, I think it is. He
drinks lemonade in Curse.
yeah, and he can drink Rum Rogers' special grog,
Yep.
but he passes out.
Yeah.
And the near grog is either meant to be very low alcohol or have no alcohol at all.
Yeah. I always love the animation of Rum Rogers hitting his head on the table.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so Rum Rogers you have to defeat in a drinking contest in order to get one of the map pieces.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good... I think it's a good concept for a pirate game, having to have a drinking contest.
Yeah, I always liked that. And I always liked his house. I like the atmosphere there. I like the puzzle where you have to shine the telescope onto the brick with the mirror. I don't know why. I just like that sequence.
It's a very curious sort of puzzle. The weird gorilla statue.
Yeah, the gross gorilla
outside of his
statue outside.
house. And the fact that his house is only accessible through the weird tunnels
yes.
Under Fat Island. I like that, he's this fat old pirate with a big red nose.
Yeah.
Who obviously likes to just sit out in his little house and drink rum.
Yeah.
And
he is kind of one of the more piratey characters, I think.
Yeah, and he says that sword fighting is for wimps, weenies, and sissies. I just thought that he was one that we definitely needed to include because, he's just, as you say, one of these classic piratey characters that you meet that you don't get as much of in the later games.
No.
These sort of more classic Robert Louis Stevenson-esque kind of pirates.
Yeah. They don't kind of give much to the plot. You don't have to talk to him much at all.
No.
And he just kind of he kicks you out if you're not there. If you don't challenge him to a drinking contest.
Yeah, and he does sort of admit that he's got the map there.
Yeah.
But the treasure, I think. Have you got a treasure here? He says people are always asking him that, and he wants to be left alone.
Yes.
Yeah, I just inherited this house 2 months ago. Every single day all I've heard is rap, tap, tap. Do you have a treasure here? Why can't you people just go away and leave a retired pirate in peace?
You have the script in front of you.
Yes.
Okay. Very good. You're more organised than me. All right, well, if that takes us back to Melee Island, and I have a feeling that these characters are going to be on your list as well.
Yeah.
The men of low moral fibre, in brackets, pirates.
Yeah, they're not on my list because I deliberately left them off. I said I won't include the men of low moral fibre and I won't include Herman, so there's no risk of doubling up.
There aren't actually that many characters in the first game, especially compared to the others.
Yeah, the second game has a huge cast compared to the first.
So this kind of spans both games. Frank, Finn, and Fred
Yeah.
Their names are. They're kind of some of the more parody characters to interact with on. Actually, they're not parody at all. I think that's what's funny about them. They claim to be part of a travelling circus, but actually they're just kind of 3 slovenly pirates that are lazy and just hanging around the streets of Melee and later asleep on Scab Island.
Yeah, they're basically just bums, right?
Yeah. They own a rat. The rat has a funny name.
Yeah, it's like Munster Monster or something like that. Yeah, cause,
and if you,
as in Munster cheese.
It's kind of the only thing where if you mouse over the rat, they say, "Hey, don't mess with the rat."
Yeah, that's one of those little playful things in secret, right? Where your actual act of interaction with the world kind of affects the world. It's not all just through the verbs like Monkey Island 2 is.
So it's almost like they're talking to the player or breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah. It's a bit like walking on the loose board to move the seagull, kind of similar thing.
Yeah. So they sell you the minutes to the Melee Island PTA, the latest meeting. Yeah. When I say they sell it to you, they give it to you with 2 pieces
for free because they can't get rid of it.
Literally can't give it away. They have to
this
sell
is one of those great gags with Secret. When you hear about the PTA and the Chamber of Commerce and stuff, and you get there's this whole underlying humour in Secret that Melee Island is almost like just some American suburb kind of thing with these really mundane organisations and stuff that exist in the background that we never actually see.
That's the funny thing. And we know that there's the shop, the Voodoo Ladies, the old rubber chicken shop. Meat Hook Isle is like literally advertised as a resort getaway.
Yeah, and even what they're called, the Men of Low Moral Fibre, is it similar to Citizen of Melee? Yeah, is another good gag as well.
Very funny.
And that it's always Men of Low Moral Fibre, parentheses, pirates.
So I thought they were worth a mention. And I like the fact that
definitely. I wanted to mention in Scab Island, on Scab Island in Monkey Island 2, they tell you a story about how they went looking for Big Whoop.
Yes.
And they actually landed on an unknown island and met an old hermit who was a philosopher. So it turns out, if you get to the end of the game, they actually landed on Dinky Island but didn't know it.
Yeah.
And that's you can talk to them about that at the start of the game, and it foreshadows the ending, which is
it's
really fun. And one of the things I really liked when I was replaying it recently was if you talk to them about it, they say that the old hermit told them that all the world is a stage and we are merely players, and the gag is so they're performance artists portraying a man's inaction about environmental issues or something like that by just sitting up there sleeping. But it also again foreshadows the idea that the world in which Guybrush and these pirates exist is in some respects kind of a performance rather than a supposedly real life.
It does seem to back up that idea.
There's just a nice little use of them because you don't really need to talk to them in the game, but if you do, you get some nice little hints about the ending, which I like.
Yeah, there is a lot of dialogue in the second game involving them.
Yeah, just lots of flavour that you can access if you want.
Yeah, and that's the great thing. Also, you have to argue with one of them about taking the bucket, which is not their bucket.
And they still try to stop you from taking it, but it's not actually theirs.
Yeah, and I like that those characters get carried over from the first game, even though they're inconsequential.
Yes, and this is why I'm hoping we see them in Return.
I think we will, even briefly.
Yeah, I hope so.
All right, what's your number 9?
My number 9, then this is we're getting into a deep cut here, is the Fat Island Guard. I don't think he has a name.
I don't believe so, no.
I think the thing I love about this guy is basically his character design.
Yeah, he's great with that kind of Spanish helmet.
Yeah, he's got he's this hugely muscled guy with the big, like it's a Morion's helmet on, like you'd see a conquistador or something wearing. If you try to run away from him, he pulls a big flintlock pistol out and shoots it over your head. He's got a big sword on his belt. He's just like the classic kind of pirate movie stooge
soldier,
thug kind of thing. Yeah.
Now he's wearing like a singlet. A red singlet?
Yeah, he's got like a red singlet and this belt with a huge buckle on it, and he's got a big beard. You can't see his eyes.
Yeah.
The helmet's down over his eyes.
Fires the gun.
Yeah, and he marches you off to see Governor Fat and then takes you to jail.
Yep.
And he says that don't try to escape because Walt will chew you to bits. Like Walt's like obviously completely harmless. And then when you escape, when you go to the mansion, you can really easily bluff your way past him.
I was always under the impression that was a different character that was back at the mansion. Like there were a number of guards. Yeah, but that might just be me, my infantile memory. Thinking that
I always assumed it was the same guy and that he was just
because he says, "Aren't you supposed to be in prison?"
Yeah, and you say if you tell him you escaped, he doesn't believe you.
Yeah, and
he says Walt would have chewed you to bits.
Yeah, and it must be the same guy.
One of the gags, very subtle jokes I like with this is that he says to Walt, "I'll be back to relieve you at 11 or something like that, as if like he and Walt make up the entire police force for the island or something like that.
That is a good joke.
And you just tell him there's a fire in the kitchen and he runs off and you never see him again.
Yeah.
But I think he's one of those really well implemented things in Revenge where you go, oh wow, the whole area's been opened up to me. You go to Fat Island and then you're immediately captured by this guy, and it shows you that, on Fat Island, you're dealing with a completely different kind of society, not that it's that well developed, but a different kind of, system to what you're dealing with on Scab or on Melee.
You're told that it's a dictatorship and then that pays off a bit.
Yeah, exactly. This is the thing that demonstrates the idea that, that there's this kind of cruel military justice on Fat Island that he'll just sell you out.
Yeah.
Oh, the guard, I forgot, he arrests Kate as well when you frame her for your crimes, again emphasizing how stupid he is. He arrests Kate as well.
I like that puzzle getting out of the prison because I like those little kind of break puzzles where you're able to get out of it, but you have to use what you've got. You have to.
Yeah, and all you've got is the inventory you can find in the cell.
Yeah.
And that's, a great little bit. If you throw Walt the stick, he'll just leave the keys on the floor and
if you
go and get the stick and bring it back to you, which is clever. The music in the jail cell is really good as well. Do, 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 do. Just for that one room.
Yeah, it's so great. Well, all the music's great.
Yeah.
All right, good call. And I think you're definitely right about the character design. It's like the big, chunky kind of pixely guy.
Yeah, with the huge shoulders and everything like that. This is almost like a foreshadowing or a precursor, I should say, of a Bill Tiller character design or whoever it was.
Getting a bit towards the cartoony side.
With the little feet and the big shoulders.
Yeah, you're right. Which I suppose they were kind of going for in this game, but they just couldn't. They didn't have the resolution.
This is sort of moving in some respects towards that slightly cartoonier design for some of the characters. He wouldn't be entirely out of place in Sam and Max Hit the Road.
Day of the Tentacle or something. Yeah.
Yeah,
you're right. Speaking of prisons, that brings me to the number 8 character on my list, which is the best character in Escape from Monkey Island, Otis.
Nice.
So Otis is in the prison, the jail cell on Melee. You can have some nice little dialogue with him. At one point, you can he insults Shine Top, and then Shine Top comes in and has a conversation with you. He gives you his carrot cake. You have to give him a breath mint because his breath stinks because he's been in prison too long. He claims he's been framed and the crime was for picking flowers.
Yeah.
There's not too much more to say about him. Kind of like an arrogant character. He joins your crew kind of for no reason when you bring him out of jail.
Yeah. He'll be back. He gave me his word as a pirate.
Yeah. So it's like, why would you trust this character who has spent the entire game in a prison cell? Yeah, it's not too much to say about Otis, but I like Otis.
Again, he's one of those. He's a funny Monkey Island spin on the classic pirate character this time. Yeah, the petty criminal.
Yeah,
who's locked up for some minor misdemeanor, but who acts like he's this victim of society, which is
at least that's what he says.
Himself,
yeah,
right?
And it's also the thing where you can see that Shine Top is throwing his weight around too much.
Yeah.
And also often, I assume most people would have already committed the crime themselves that Otis has been accused of recently.
Yeah, and that's an interesting one. Is it meant to be that you've committed the same crime as Otis?
I thought so, yeah. Or
has he actually been stitched up for the thing you did? But he's already in jail, even if you haven't picked the flowers, right? So
he is, yeah. But I don't think there's a clue that the flowers will poison the piranha poodles, like the flowers.
Only if you speak French.
Okay, interesting.
Because the name of the flowers means sleeping poodle in
French. Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
Of course. Okay.
It's like caniche endormi or something like that.
Right, okay. There you go. That's a good little bit of intel. So Otis's character changes a lot in Escape.
Yeah.
And I think they're kind of completely different. Otis is also kind of the character that's been directly inspired by that scene from the Pirates of the Caribbean ride in the Disney parks.
Yes.
That was one of the things that Ron Gilbert claimed was one of the big inspirations for the Monkey Island series. And obviously that jail cell, the three characters trying to get the dog to give them the key, the jail cell has been translated here into both of these games with Walt and with this scene with Otis. So I think he's worth mentioning at this point on the list.
Yeah, I think it's funny the thing with him having the file in the carrot cake and how he doesn't like carrot cake and that's why he won't get the file. But the idea of breaking out of prison with a big raspy file is another thing that you wouldn't necessarily know about these days, I don't think.
No, another thing, as you mentioned before, that you actually do in Sam & Max.
Yeah, you need a big raspy file.
Big raspy file, yeah.
But
yeah, that's kind of an old prison break type.
Yeah. And we can actually relate this back to Citizen of Melee because you can, when you're looking for a file, you can ask him for one.
Yes,
but he thinks you mean documents.
Yeah.
But of course,
Shady
you'd ask him because he's a shady character. You
Yeah.
think he might have something for breaking into or out of a prison.
Yeah.
I like Otis's design as well, that he's got that sort of
I do too.
cravat or scarf
Yeah, I wasn't sure if
his neck.
it's supposed to be a shirt underneath something.
sticking out of his.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what it's meant to be.
No.
It's sort of hard to tell from the original design. I know the special edition interpreted it as a kind of scarf or something.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. And was voiced by the same voice actor in Secret Special Edition as he was voiced by in Escape.
Is that so?
Yes.
We're going to have to do an episode where I replay the special editions.
Special Editions, yeah. Scott Bullock voiced him in
Okay.
both games, yeah. So I think anyone who wasn't in... He also voiced Lemonhead as well in Curse.
I love Lemonhead in
think,
Curse.
Yeah. Anyone I think who wasn't in Curse, they got from Escape wherever possible, except I think Carla was not. I think the voice actor who does the Voodoo Lady voiced Carla in the special edition.
Right, okay. The Voodoo Lady from Escape or Curse?
It's the same person, I think.
Is it?
I think so.
I'll have to look that up. That sounds like a job for Captain Fact LeChuck.
Yeah, we'll have to get Fact LeChuck on
that.
this question.
All right. Remember that later when I'm editing this.
Arr, the demon pirate captain. Fat LeChuck here with you once again. The voodoo lady was indeed voiced by Leilani Jones Wilmore in The Curse of Monkey Island, Escape from Monkey Island, and the special editions of the first two games.
All right, now what's your number 8?
Okay, my number 8, and I'm not 100% sure that I've really followed much of an order here. But my number 8, again, I'm cheating a bit, and I'm eliding 2 characters by their location because I wanted to talk about both of them.
Fair enough.
So I'm talking about 2 significant characters from Woodtick.
Yep.
I'm going to say Woody the Woodsmith.
Yep.
And the Bloody Lip Bartender.
Okay.
Or Barkeeper, as he's
fair enough.
called. So, Woody, first of all, is one of the first people you meet when you enter Woodtick, apart from Largo himself. If you sort of follow the path, you can go straight into Woody's shop, and everything you look at, he comments on as well.
Yeah.
Like how he needs the nails, he needs the hammer. No one's allowed to touch the calendar with Buzzsaw Girl on it.
It's been lacquered onto the wall.
Yeah. And if you look at him, I think Irish says that he's buff.
Yeah.
And he has one of the best, I think he possibly has my favourite variant of the Woodtick theme in his shop, where the sound of kind of sawing and hammering is worked into the sort of his leitmotif that he has in his shop.
Yeah, I do like that.
He's not actually very important in part 1. He can tell you about the voodoo doll, that they should make a voodoo doll of Largo, but you can't really do anything with him apart from talk to him, I don't think. There's, of course, the classic woodchuck joke.
Yeah, that's one of the classic jokes. I've always remembered that.
How much wood could a woodchuck chuck?
Yep.
But I think my favourite bit with him is when you bring him the broken oar.
Yeah.
And the way he talks about fixing it and the way he fixes it is so like,
so
like one of those guys.
Yeah. Like a mechanic.
There's even the animation of him sort of sizing up for the broken oar and stuff.
Really confident about his work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he gives it a steel shank and alloy splints better than new. And I just think that he's a good little side character, and I love the fact that it's when you saw off whichever one of the men of low moral fibers leg. I think it's Frank.
Yeah.
Frank with a peg leg, when he saw off Frank's leg and he screams out for someone to get a doctor. But of course it's Woody who goes.
Yeah. He has those big kind of Chuck Jones-esque eyes pop out.
When he sees that he's been mutilated.
Yeah.
And quick note about the special edition again. Woody in this voiced by Phil Lamar, who also voiced Captain Dread, who is best known for voicing the character Hermes in Futurama.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'd heard of Phil Lamar, but I couldn't tell you what he did.
Yeah. I'm not exactly much of a Futurama watcher, but there you go.
Is that back? Or they cancel it again?
I think that they're either bringing it back or it got brought back for the second or third time or something.
Yeah, I thought so.
But yeah, the other character I wanted to talk about was the barkeeper.
Yep.
At the Bloody Lip.
No character name. You've not sourced
I don't
name.
think he has a name. Although I think Curse retconned him into being a good soup.
Yeah, they did. They did.
But I think he can tell you about the voodoo doll. I love the fact that he's like he comes across as this really disgusting, dive bar bartender spitting into the glasses to light them and stuff. But
like the
but
bar
if
on
you
the wrong
ask
side
him,
of the tracks in The Simpsons.
yeah. If you ask him what the stew is, he says like, "Oh, how gauche! We only serve gourmet chilled soups."
Vichy soir.
Yeah, and I like the fact that when after Largo robs him,
Yep.
and Guybrush goes, "Boy, you just gave him all your money," and he goes, "I don't want to talk about it." It's just those kinds of lines.
Yeah, it's just a really well written character. I like the way when you order the drinks, he gives them to you, and then he says, he cracks these lame jokes. The chainsaw's out of gas. He says, "Hey, I have to crack jokes. It's a union thing."
Yeah, it's a union thing. Yeah.
Yeah, just a well written character.
Yeah, when he walks into the kitchen to check the soup. Oh my god! Guybrush goes, hee.
What kind of deranged cookbook are you using?
Yeah.
Is that what he says?
Yeah, what kind? It's something like demented recipe book or something like that. Yeah. I just think these two guys, Woody and the barkeeper, just really, again, set the scene really well at the start of.
Yeah. Absolutely.
The
thing I really like about the bloody
Revenge,
lip is the fish swimming past the window. It's
yeah,
always a really nice touch. The fact that this is underwater, this bar.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's good?
Even in the original sort of like DOS version, you've got the big of him spitting and the of him wiping the glasses and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's all done really well. And the and when you steal Jojo, as well, he's like, he gets really annoyed at you, but he doesn't try to stop you.
Yeah.
Go ahead and take my entertainment. Thanks for nothing, buddy.
Yeah, that's it. Doesn't reprimand you beyond that.
Yeah. So I wanted to mention both of those guys because I couldn't fit them both on the list. So I was like, what the hell? I'll talk about them both in the one entry.
Yeah, well, they kind of match up. Business owners of Woodtick.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
All right. Well, I have no segue, therefore, into my 7. And as I say, this is probably in no particular order. It's a vague order. I've got number 7. I've got Bob.
Yeah, nice. When I was initially going to have secret characters, I was definitely going to have Bob on the list.
Okay, so Bob was the previous... I think, is it implied that he was the previous captain of LeChuck's current ship?
It's definitely implied that, he was in charge before LeChuck showed up and killed everybody.
Yeah. So he does this sarcastic line that he's so glad that LeChuck murdered him and turned him into a ghost pirate.
Yeah.
He's there dancing with the crew at the end of Secret of Monkey Island. And he has this funny animation where he juggles his head and then he drops his head into the lava. And you can choose to either vaporize him or not.
Yeah, and whoever shows up as well, be it Herman or your crew, knows him as well.
Yeah.
It's implied that he is another former Melee Island pirate, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if we'll see him in the new one.
Well, I think, now that it looks like LeChuck's ghost crew might be appearing, I was thinking, could Bob or at least someone like him show up?
Yeah, well, I wonder.
In the new one.
I reckon we'll get a reference.
I like that he's got a quite scary character design as well, like this sort of ghostly skeleton with a peg leg and everything, but he's just called Bob.
Yeah, he's very joke, a very Blackadder joke.
Yeah, he's very normal and not very scary. Really.
No, but he's got that they got the skull head. I always like the animation of him turning around, and he kind of looks kind of goofy the way.
Yeah.
The way he's.
And he'll chase you off the ship if you try to go on without the necklace on. Yeah,
so he's kind of the foil to the very sinister LeChuck. LeChuck's much more sinister in the first game.
Yeah, he sort of, and it was sort of his role, and Largo was sort of in a similar role in the second game.
Yeah,
that sort of character for LeChuck to talk to in the cutscenes.
Yeah, give him someone to talk to.
Yeah, I never zap Bob. I always think Bob should be left alone.
Yeah, I typically don't. I think usually depends which ending I go for. I think I typically go for the Herman rescuing ending.
Yeah, I normally do that one as well.
Because then you get the extra cutscene at the end of the crew in the cannibals' hut.
Yeah.
Yeah, we may come to the cannibals later. So who's your number 7?
Okay, I've the order's getting a bit difficult here, but I think what I'm going to go for number 7 is Filbert, the Elaine's gardener from Booty Island, who's, again, this is when you get more of these kind of classic tropes coming in here. We've moved away from kind of the pirate world and more into the kind of Edwardian manor house kind of thing, or almost like a plantation house or something. He's the gardener with the...
I think that's what's implied,
Yeah, the green overalls and the big straw hat and the rake. Buck all you want. Filbert's outrating the back 40. And,
I think he's also kind of Elaine's dog's body.
It sort of acts as security for the mansion. And throws the rake at you, and he brings you in to see Elaine, and when things start to get romantic again between Guybrush and Elaine, he goes, I think I might go and rake the back 40, because he's clearly a bit uncomfortable.
That's a good deep cut character to pick.
He's very sarcastic, throws the rake at you and goes, look out for that rake after you
had done.
What's wrong, Guybrush? Nothing a big hug wouldn't cure.
Also the teeth falling out. Guybrush's teeth fall out when he gets whacked by the rake. Does his dress come up?
Flies up, so you can see his underpants.
Yeah, one of those characters, like, well written, like, probably only a few lines of dialogue, but very, very important to the game.
Yeah, only appears in two scenes, I think, in the entire game. But again, this is one of these things about these games, is that they would, and it was probably one of the benefits of the Scum engine, I'd imagine, as well, is that you could draw up a character, we need a gardener at Elaine's house.
Yeah.
We can draw up a character and he can just be in these couple of scenes, and it'll be easy enough to program his role in the cinematic, walking across a screen or throwing the rake. Or whatever.
We only need to program what we need. We only need to design,
exactly. And this is and characters like that, I think, are so much harder to include when you've got 3D models and stuff that you need to be building, wireframes and all this stuff.
Yeah, hooking them up
and rigs and everything.
Also worrying more about the design of the character. You don't have to be like, was there concept art for this character? Possibly not.
It's probably one of those things where they just could have said to whoever was doing the character art for Monkey Island
this is what it looks like.
Can you just draw a gardener?
Yeah.
It's the gardener at the manor house.
Sure, there are probably a ton of characters like that.
Yeah. There definitely are. It's like the chef. Elaine's chef is another one as well.
Hey, you can talk. Who'd have known?
What are you doing here? Come to finish the job?
Number 6, I had a bit more of a major character. It was Herman.
Of course.
Yeah, you got to have Herman. So Herman, he kind of bugs Guybrush on Monkey Island. Once you get there, Guybrush kind of tells him to leave him alone. And Herman acts kind of mad. You never kind of have a proper conversation with him.
You can never get a straight answer out of him.
No, and
anything.
And he breaks the fourth wall and addresses the player.
Yeah. But then Guybrush is confused about who he's talking to, even though Guybrush himself addresses the player. So it's, one of those good jokes out of the thing. I like that. Are you some kind of castaway? What do I look like, the caretaker?
That and what happened to your pants? What pants?
Yeah.
And you push the cannon over in his house, in his home, and he accuses you of making a mess. Yes. I think the main characterization for Herman is through the notes left around Monkey Island.
Yeah, he used like a message in a bottle to contact lawyers and stuff, and he's been complaining to the natives they swapped the banana picker for the monkey head key, and neither of them will give it back. The other one's item back.
Banana picker, one of those classic joke puzzles. You collect it, you initially can't take it out, and then you never actually use it to pick bananas.
Yeah.
Until you get to escape, and then you use the banana picker in every puzzle in Monkey Island.
Which is kind of unfortunate. The whole point of the banana picker in Secret is that it's a red herring.
Yeah.
And you only get it after you've already gotten all the bananas that you need. And being a kid, being like, oh man, I really want to use the banana picker to get the bananas, and then finding out that you can get them without it is really well done. And yet again, he's another one of these classic literature tropes. This kind of cross between Ben Gunn and Robinson Crusoe. Right?
Yeah. So it's very much in that pirate fiction arena. Of course, he returns in LeChuck's Revenge, and he's become, what would you call it, a spiritualist or a...
Yeah, he calls himself like a Zen philosopher. I think. And he had a purely optional appearance.
But welcome all the same.
And there's a little nod to his role in Secret, I think, where when you finally find Big Whoop, if you've spoken to him, he walks in from the side and says, is this what you were looking for?
Yeah, I always like that.
Yeah.
I like that you have to trigger that earlier.
Kind
of that's a good little replay value moment.
If you haven't figured out how to dig up the X or whatever at that point, it gives you a shortcut back to the beach at Dinky Island as well.
While we're talking about Herman, I always liked Herman, his marionette at the end of Curse. It's waving.
The animatronic of him waving.
Yeah, the hanging corpse. His friend is also waving.
Yeah, I like all the Captain's diary entries. Tooth Rot is really starting to get on my nerves.
That stuff as well, So I like you hear all the stuff from the unseen Captain, and then when you finally see him, he's dead.
Yeah, I like this. I wish Tooth Rot would stop snoring. I wish Tooth Rot would take a bath. Tooth Rot is really getting on my nerves. It's like, it's only a matter of time before we come to blows or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
And that, when we finally meet him, he is just as annoying, arguably, as he was presented as being. And again, this is like, these games were so well written where these little things, that you could just write off as gags do inform stuff that happens later on.
Yeah.
Again, even if they are just gags,
that's why
they're set up and paid off.
Yeah, it's what makes it so much more immersive. And just a little shout out to Herman's appearance in The Devil's Triangle, the fan game, where
by Chris Yusko.
Chris Yusko's game, where he's running a barbecue.
Yeah, it's been so long since I've played that, I can't remember what.
There is a puzzle where you have to speak to him about getting meat on the barbecue or something.
Yeah.
We will do the Devil's Triangle.
We'll have to figure out a way to replay that.
I know how to run that. I can show you how.
Because getting it to run on Windows 11 will be difficult.
I'll show you how to do it, don't worry.
Just have to.
We'll cover that later.
Emulate something to run click and play on here. But yeah. All right, cool. Okay. Yeah, I didn't include Herman because I didn't want to.
No, there's plenty of characters.
Overlap.
Yeah.
But I have a similar kind of choice in some respects. So my next pick is Augustus De Watt.
Yep.
AKA the old man with the ear trumpet.
I thought you were going to pick him. I probably would.
In the town on Voodoo Island. Why did you think I was going to pick him?
Because I thought if you didn't pick the Spitmaster, you'd pick him. And he was actually one of the first people I thought of
really?
When we discussed doing these lists. Yeah. Just as a kind of just a bit of kind of flavour character. This character is not necessary in the game.
No, I don't think you have to talk to him at all.
You don't know.
But he sort of fills you in again on there's a bit of backstory and stuff. If you talk to him, he says he used to be the governor of Booty Island, but he got sick of missing all the parties, so he quit, and it's implied that that's how Elaine became governor of Booty Island. She took over the role when he quit, and I think that's something that was sort of missed later on with the whole kind of Tri-Island area gag. You know, it's like it was like Elaine is implied in secret to have quit being governor of Melee and disappeared to get away from Guybrush.
Yeah.
And took up the job on Booty Island in an effort to try to start a new life. And Augustus is the kind of fills you in, if you can read between the lines, on that aspect of the story, because he also tells you that he heard that Elaine killed LeChuck.
Yeah.
Which is a nice little thing as well. The only people who believe that LeChuck was killed by Guybrush don't care.
Yeah,
and everyone else thinks someone else. Everyone thinks either the voodoo lady or Elaine killed LeChuck.
This is a little bit of a theme running through LeChuck's Revenge is the kind of idea of the truth, and who killed LeChuck and who banished Largo from the island and stuff. You know, everyone kind of believes that it was them that did it.
Yeah, and I think it's sort of implied that Elaine herself has been putting out about the rumor that she.
She nearly did.
If you say I was the one, if you say you used to be Elaine's boyfriend, he says, "Oh, sure," and I'll bet you helped her beat LeChuck too. Yeah. And you can say, "No, I beat him all by myself." And he says, "Hey kid, it's okay. Mardi Gras is the time for fantasy." And I really like that aspect of him, that he's like. He's kind of, you can annoy him, but he's kind of kind to you, because in his eyes you are someone whose imagination is running away with them, which is, again, ties into the overall kind of theme of the game.
Yes, that you're a child.
That you're a child, or even in the most generous interpretation that even if you put aside that Guybrush cares more about his own image than he cares about, reality kind of thing.
Yeah. Characters like this, we've been replaying Tales, and there are a lot of characters you need to talk to, and you have to talk to them in order to get the solution to a puzzle or an item or something. It kind of forces you to just kind of step through these underwritten dialogue trees. No offense to the Tales people, but these characters are kind of well written. You can read the dialogue at your own pace, which is usually quicker than if it was read out. And they do actually add something to the story if you choose that.
With Tales, it's also let down by the fact that it uses the same character models over and over again.
Well, yeah.
As well, which makes it the individual characters less interesting, because you just feel like you're talking to the same guy
over and over again, and that's
but they don't draw attention to that fact. If they drew attention to the fact that it's the same models, it might be funny, but it's not. And you don't have characters like this who just fill out the kind of the texture
that's
of the world. It just feels like every other step you're running into the next ridiculous comedy character who has some stupid job or ridiculous, absurd hobby or something that
we'll get into that. And
serves solving a puzzle.
Yeah.
I'm just picturing Crimptage at the glass blower.
That's exactly who I was thinking about as well. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go to number 5, Secret of Monkey Island. I've got written here Red Skull, but I guess I mean the 3 cannibals.
Yeah.
Red Skull, Sharp Tooth, and Lemonhead.
Yep.
Kind of a sarcastic, almost hesitate to use the word, but yuppie cannibals.
Well, I think yuppie culture comes up a lot in these games.
I think that's just kind of an outdated term, I think.
Yeah. But they come across as a juxtaposition of the traditional dangerous indigenous inhabitant of some,
Yeah.
from a European perspective, remote place with, health conscious yuppie stereotypes who are wanting to embrace vegetarianism.
Yeah. They were wearing these ridiculous masks.
Huge, and the mouths on the move when
yeah.
they're talking. I like the fact that they're really muscular
Yeah,
as well.
too. And Guybrush is kind of scared of them.
Yeah.
Because he kind of pleads with them not to eat him. And
Yeah.
I always like the line, hey, I'd love to eat the guy.
Yeah, and they keep
Do you know
arguing.
Yeah. Do you know how much saturated fat is in one of these things? Funny characters.
Yeah.
At a point in the game where there aren't too many characters to encounter anymore, especially new
No,
characters.
I think that's one of those really nice moments in Secret where, you spent so much time by yourself and the only other person to talk to is occasionally Herman.
Yeah.
And then you have that feeling of isolation and then you meet, Red Skull, Sharptooth and Lemonhead. And then there are all these new characters to talk to. And it's like you say at the start, they're scary. And the more you talk to them, the more kind of funny
they are.
and silly they become.
Yeah. And I like the fact that they kind of jump out at you. They come out of nowhere, like when after you've stolen the bananas or after you're leaving the village.
Yeah, they appear sort of behind you when the screen pans away.
Yeah.
In Special Edition, they're given like a very... I think the word that YouTube guy Scarfulu used was camp voice.
Yeah. Okay.
Which again emphasizes the kind of yuppiness of them. Is that a banana in your pocket or are you just glad to see us? And stuff like that, which I think was one of the... I mean, we'll talk about it more when we talk about the special editions, but some of the voice acting choices in the special editions are actually quite good. It's probably one of the better things about the special editions.
Yeah.
And I think the way they do them works quite well. Yeah.
And no, I'm not getting squeamish. I'd love to eat the guy.
So let's do it.
But think of your arteries.
We are cannibals, for crying out loud.
Yeah, but cannibals have to watch their saturated fats just like everyone else.
All right. Who am I going to pick here? I am going to go for Bart and Fink.
Right. Of course.
Who are the two salty dogs that you're talking to at the start of Revenge.
Yep.
I think Bart and Fink again are these, and I chose that because that's Guybrush calls them salty dogs. I'll see you salty dogs later. I think I really like the way these guys are handled because it's kind of implied that Guybrush has been there for a while hanging out with them.
Yeah.
On the beach, like maybe he's been on Scab Island for a few days or a few weeks or something.
He's told them the same story over and over.
Yeah, telling these guys the same story. They keep going around telling tall tales and stuff, and he just keeps telling the same story over and over again. And I really like just how fed up with him they are, but they
still put up with it.
They still put up with him, and you can and again after it's purely optional to go and talk to them.
Yeah.
But again, if you talk to them, that fills in some stuff. Like if you again, they talk about LeChuck, and if you say "but LeChuck," and they're like, "Oh God, not this again." And if you force the point, I think it's Bart says, "Oh, I heard they never found his body," and stuff like that, which is clever.
I think they're a great intro to that game.
Yeah.
Where. And especially introducing the character of Guybrush, where there's just going, "Oh, here we go again."
Yeah, and as this blowhard who's just still trying to cash in on this one story, and that image of him silhouetted against the fire with the two of them, and again they're these like classic pirates.
Yeah,
Fink's got the big hat and
jug,
and the jug of like moonshine or whatever, and Bart's got the bandana on his head and everything like that. They look like what you're imagining when, you think about pirates, and the music, their theme as well, is so good.
Yeah.
If you ask them if there's a marshmallow you can toast. They say it's actually they're sterilising the stuffing behind Fink's eye patch.
Yeah. Explain their names in French, if you will.
Okay, so because I've been learning French the last couple of years, I've been playing through LeChuck's Revenge in French, and in French,
Oui.
I'm not 100% sure on the pronunciation of the second name, but Fink and Bart are called La Balance and Le Baronnet, and I think that's how you'd pronounce it. And Fink is La Balance because balance, it literally means like scales or a balance or whatever, but it can also mean snitch or an informer or something like that, which is what Fink can mean in US slang. Of course, Bart and Fink is just a pun on the Coen brothers movie Bart and Fink, which I watched a few years ago and is a really good movie. I definitely recommend if you like Coen brothers and you like weird movies with strange characters. I would definitely recommend watching it. It's a bit hard to find these days, but you can get it like video on demand on like Google Movies or whatever.
Yeah.
But definitely would watch it.
You know what else is hard to find? Tales of Monkey Island for Mac.
For Mac. Yeah.
Anyway, I'll go into that next time.
Something we'll talk about. Yeah. and Bart Le Baronnet, because the shortening of baronet or baronet is Bart, full stop. So it becomes Bart. Yeah, so, and it took me a while of digging around. I was like, why are these guys called this? Because they still call each other Bart and Fink in the French dialogue, but it's just the system, the engine calls them that when you mouse over them. And I was really curious to see why they were called that. Yeah, which was interesting.
Yeah.
Bart and Fink are just two great characters you can go and chat to. They make fun of you for your history with Elaine. They will sing 99 bottles of beer on the wall forever if you let them.
Yeah.
They're very sort of sentimental. They'll fill you in about Largo's history, what they know about LeChuck and all this sort of thing. I really like the way that they're implemented.
I like the way that they're more kind of just lazy characters, lazy pirates.
Yeah. Again, they're similar to the men of low moral fibre, but they have that nice relationship with Guybrush at the start, which I think, it's just such a great image of the three of them sitting around the fire.
Yeah, it's the perfect opening to that game.
No, Guybrush, have mercy.
Yeah.
I think I know how he felt, and that stuff. It's just, that's such a great visual of the three of them sitting around those logs and the fire, and the half serious image with the jug of rum or whatever, and the half silly image of the marshmallow on the stick and all that stuff. It's just, that's again one of those things. It's a bit like the Guybrush in the bumper car. That's like, this is like Monkey Island in a nutshell. When you look at that,
it doesn't get better than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of really nice settings, that brings me to number 3. One that I was always fascinated with as a kid.
Yep.
And the character that it involves is Meat Hook.
Of course.
With Visit Fabulous Hook Isle.
Yeah.
So Meat Hook becomes one of your crew. He's experienced some horrible tragedy that's left him with no hands. Instead, he has 2 hooks for hands. And and his party trick is to make the tattoo on his chest, tattoo of a skull, talk and say hello, Roger. Which as a child, I thought that was absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
So eventually, you have to convince him that you're brave enough to lead the charge to rescue Governor Marley. You have to face the monster that he keeps in a cage, which is a parrot, a friendly parrot that you just have to pat or stroke. And the thing that I always liked about Meat Hook's home was there was this cave off to the right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, but you can't walk down there or anything.
No, you can try, and he just kicks you out if you do it. But I've always wanted to go down there and find out what was in there. But going back to Meat Hook, Guybrush talks to him, and he's kind of he looks like this big tough guy, but he's quite a sensitive soul.
Yeah.
Guybrush insults him and he kicks him out of his house. You just kind of barge into his house.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's
Yeah,
cool.
and you can talk to him for ages as well.
Yeah.
There's a really long dialogue chain with him. I love that whole I think you've got a little attitude problem.
Yeah.
I think you've got a little hair problem and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Stupid jokes. It was so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the parrot described as a murderous winged devil.
Yeah. I just noticed I've skipped a character. I've said number 3 when I've missed number 4, but I'll come back to that.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking about that. We'll have to go back to your number 4
That's
because
all right.
I want to. Yeah, and he said he used to have tourists visiting. There's the big neon sign outside and everything, crossing with the rubber chicken.
Yeah.
With the pulley in the middle.
Yeah, that sign and that puzzle with the rubber chicken is like, that's quintessential Monkey Island, in my opinion.
Yeah. I one thing I'd say is I wish that they'd kept that cut gag about looting the island.
Yeah.
Right? It was gonna be that if you go in and say the governor's kidnapped and he goes, what should we do? You can say, why don't we go and loot the place?
Yeah.
And he goes, okay. And then it's like a few hours later, he's like, well, that was fun, but what do we do now?
They could have kept that as just a, that would have been it.
Yeah. But yeah, Meat Hook's the one of the 3 crew you don't have to do anything with him until you need to recruit.
That's
crew.
right, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then weirdly reimagined in Escape as having become a wax artist.
Yeah. For the sole purpose.
Again, same voice actor. Went from Escape, did Secret Special Edition.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
For one of your favourite puzzles in Escape, we have to jam a paintbrush in the sushi train at the right time.
Yeah, definitely didn't save Scum to avoid having to watch those, on rails moments over and over again every time I put the paintbrush in a second too early or too late. So, just realised
that puzzle is ridiculously finicky.
Yeah.
We'll get to that when we come to discussing that part in Escape.
Yeah.
What was your number 4?
So my number 4, we're getting down to the wire here. My number 4 is Guybrush's parents.
Yeah.
Don't know their names.
No.
Don't know much about them.
These are my parents.
Yeah. They may be dead, they may be alive.
Ooh.
Maybe they don't exist at all. Who knows?
Or all 3.
Yeah. But yeah, I just love the way that they're used in the dream sequence on Booty Island, because it's like you've never even thought about Guybrush's parents before.
No, why would you?
This point, as kids playing Secret, nothing like that. You never thought, oh, I wonder who his parents are or anything like that. And then these 2 people walk in the dream and he goes, Mum, Dad.
I love that when they turn into skeletons and just the look of sheer wide-eyed terror on Guybrush's face and surprise.
Yeah, and it's that whole strange feeling you get with what does this signify? What's being implied here? And he says, Mum, Dad, I thought you abandoned me.
Yeah.
I always resonated with me with the kid where it's like, oh, is that Guybrush's backstory? Did he just get ditched when he was a kid and then showed up on the island? And that's the thing. Did he get abandoned, or was he the one who ran away?
Yeah, because he told himself that.
Yeah, and maybe it doesn't matter. It probably doesn't, but it's the fact that this comes up.
The wonderful thing is that's all you get.
Yeah, that's what's so interesting about it.
You can fill in the rest.
They could be pirate characters, but they could be modern day characters. The character design is sufficiently vague that because it's like his mum's just in this long blue dress and the dad's just in a white shirt and brown trousers, and it's like, are they pirate era characters? Are they real world characters? It's hard to tell just by looking at them. And they show up in this dream and you just think, oh, this is really weird, turn to skeletons and give you the clue for LeChuck's fortress.
Yeah.
Then seeing them as as actual dead bodies in the tunnels at the end is so eerie, and then seeing them alive again at the end, and the fact that they
the fact
just
that
act like everything's normal.
They're giving Guybrush information that he writes down even though he's been passed out the whole time on the spit encrusted paper.
That he has this dream, this prophetic dream.
It's very weird,
which again feeds into like what's the deal with LeChuck's fortress and stuff. There's a whole lot of stuff we could talk about there, but I just thought we had to. You can't talk about side characters in Monkey Island 2 without talking about Guybrush's parents, because there's something very weird going on with them. And to sort of go back to what we talked about a few episodes ago, maybe the fact that it's really weird is the point.
Dad? Mom? What are you two doing here?
We came looking for you.
Where have you been?
You came looking for me? But I thought you abandoned me.
Why would we do that? We are such loving parents.
That brings me to my actual number 4. Which was Captain Smirk.
Of course.
Right, Captain Smirk teaches you to insult sword fight. He's there kind of for one cutscene. He knows Carla. He's a cigar chomping badass. I always love the close up of him, especially in the 256 color version. It always looks so pink and piratey, eye patch.
And this is a year before the first Duke Nukem game.
Exactly like Duke Nukem.
Feels like that's where they got the character design for Duke Nukem. From Captain Smirk.
Maybe they did. When you say this is before Duke Nukem 3D or before the first Duke Nukem game?
Before the first Duke Nukem, the very original one.
I like the fact that he knows Carla. He and Carla have fought in Port Royal,
Fought up a storm
in Port Royal, which is an actual real world location.
Real place,
Well, at least it was.
One of the only real world locations mentioned in the first 2 games.
He trains you to insult sword fight and to sword fight with the machine, which is another classic gag from Secret. I remember thinking that was really funny as a kid. I always like watching that cutscene when he's kind of shouting at you to parry and thrust, and then he says, "Hey, you're not too bad."
On the spring
and a monkey controlling part of it.
Bunker with a smiley face painted on it and stuff.
And I always love the gag when Guybrush comes out afterwards and says, "I can't help but feel ripped off. I'm sure you feel the same." Kind of addressing the audience. Addressing the player. Captain Smirk, he's got to be on the list. And he's got to be high on the list.
He's one of the best characters, and once you leave, you never see him again. And it's I wonder if it was implied that now that he's got your money, he won't come back out or something. But
20 pieces of 8, 30 pieces of 8, 20 or 30.
You can try to pay him with the rubber chicken. If you want, he's like a classic movie character as well, right? Like the boxing coach kind of thing.
It's like Mickey in Rocky.
From Rocky.
More tough, more muscular.
But definitely that kind of character, like a sports movie. Kind of character, and that visual look at him, that he's clearly meant to be like this, really badass dude. And then it's like stupid machines and all this sort of stuff, and I love the fact that all the kind of the important sword training, the actual physical aspect of it, is all done off screen.
It just fades out.
Insults are the
important part.
Important bit. I don't do this with everyone. It's only because I feel that special student mentor pieces of 8 bonding.
It's kind of juxtaposed against Guybrush's kind of foppish, childlike demeanour. He's good. You got to have Captain Smirk on your list.
Yeah, definitely.
And his name's funny, Captain Smirk. Because that's what he does.
Captain Smirk's big body pirate gym.
It's only because I feel that special student-mentor pieces of 8 bonding that I'm going to these lengths.
What's your number 3?
My number 3, and this is going into the really obscure characters again, is the 2 truck drivers from LeChuck's Revenge.
Yeah.
One of whom is called Rich, apparently.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, I think these 2 guys, they only show up in 2.5 scenes, arguably.
Yeah.
But
they called Largo a butt, is that right?
Yeah,
what a
butt. Yeah, and we don't normally deliver out this far. You guys bucking for a tip? Because it's another box of live snakes. You know, he's like, that's loaded on the truck. The
classic brown coveralls.
Yeah, the brown coveralls. That they're these 2 jaded, blue collar worker kind of guys. Do it, you know, undervalued, underappreciated. Implied that they're the staff of the amusement park. That they work behind the scenes to keep the amusement park running, that they're driving stuff around. And again, this is where that like line between the pirate world and the theme park world are really blurred, because it's almost like, they're delivering stuff from the voodoo lady's shop to LeChuck.
Yeah.
Which is a little interesting thing in Revenge as well. That
not something that's really discussed.
Yeah, it's trying to help you against LeChuck, but actually it's implied that she is still doing business with LeChuck.
She's running a business. Yeah.
And these guys...
Image is always really disgusting. It tells you Guybrush spending weeks in the crate or whatever, and he's got to eat gizzards.
Eel bladders. To survive. LeChuck's Island getaway and spa.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's one of the 2 of them who shows up at the end and says, "Hey, you 2 kids aren't allowed in here."
Yeah, it's supposed to be one of them, yeah.
So I thought that the truck drivers had to get a mention because they are, again, another... they're 2 representatives of the weird ambiguity at the heart of Monkey Island 2. But I love the fact that they're so down-to-earth about whatever the hell world that they're in, almost like they exist in, again, their characters who sort of exist in both worlds, and that why wouldn't it be possible that you could drive a truck of voodoo supplies from Scab Island to LeChuck's Fortress somehow?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Because it's funny.
Yeah. Is it mentioned that they use a truck, or it's...
Yeah, it's loaded on the truck.
Oh, look on the truck, yeah, of course. That is good. I'm glad you went that obscure this high in the list, because I think I've gone as obscure as possible at this point. Number 2.
Mine are going to be a bit more. My last 2 are a little bit more.
Okay. Well, my number 2, I think, is as obscure you can go. It's in secret. And it's Nick and Nick's friend. Now,
the 2 guys who walk along when you are under the water.
Yeah, the Melee Island dock. I had to play the game very briefly this afternoon to get up to this part to see what the name was, and I don't believe the name of the actual murderer is stated.
No.
The murderer has the character. He says, "Hey Nick, check out! I've just murdered this guy. I've just stabbed him with this knife.
I just committed a felony."
And it's like the blood's still on the knife or something.
Yeah,
I've got to ditch this knife, and then there's a beat. Yeah. He said, "Actually, no, I'm going to keep it." They walk away.
Yeah, they both walk off.
Yeah, and I know it's only 3 or 4 lines of dialogue, but it's like it really goes into, it's like just this little bit of added flavour. And then they're kind of the 2 most, or he's the most piratey character. It's like, this guy's just killed someone.
Yeah.
You know, and even though it's lighthearted at this point, and it's meant to be this little seed of hope for how they're going to solve the puzzle, if you don't know what to do.
Yeah. And the fact that they bothered to add that in,
you
have to wait for quite a few minutes for them to show up.
I never wondered. I always wondered, like, do you have to trigger it? But I think you just have to wait this afternoon.
Yeah.
When I played it. Yeah, it's just a really nice little touch, those two characters. And you only see their feet. And I remember trying to do stuff like when I was a kid, I'd like wait till they came along and then try to pick up the idol so that I could get up there and see what they looked like. You know, obviously that doesn't work in the kid's imagination.
Yeah.
It does. Yeah, so one of them's called Nick, and Nick's friend is the other one.
Yeah, well, that's
The
a very
murderer.
very good obscure choice.
Thank you. I've only got one to go, so who's your number 2?
Okay, my number 2... These last two is a bit of a toss-up, but my number 2 is Rapscallion.
Right. Good.
I think Rap... fantastic animation of him being reanimated when you use the ash to life on him. The really great version of the cemetery theme that plays in the tomb.
Yeah.
Plays on the hill where Marco Legrand is buried as well. But yeah, looking, getting the famous quotations, stealing the key to get in there. And I think one of the things, again, I really love about, he's the only member of the Big Whoop crew who you actually meet.
Yeah.
And he's dead.
Yes, but he's not dead in any way involved with the Big Whoop crew.
No. And I mean, before the curse retcons, it's sort of left ambiguous. It's sort of like 2 of them have disappeared and 2 of them have died, but it's not...
Steamin, weenie, and
it's suspicious, but it's not clear that there's any relation to that.
Yeah.
I don't really like the curse explanation that LeChuck killed all of them. I think that's a bit much, but I do like the idea that there was some curse or doom that hung over this expedition. But yeah, I just like the way that Rap appears. And he appears like this. There's the skeleton, and then the flesh builds on the skeleton.
Oh, that's one of the best pieces of animation in the whole game, in the whole series.
He's got the fat belly poking out over his underpants, and then the clothes, like the chef's hat, and the apron and everything. And he does just look like a hot dog vendor. He doesn't look like a pirate.
And he spits the map out of his mouth.
The map's in his mouth. Little Indiana Jones reference. If you keep saying, "Oh, give me the map and I'll check the gas," over and over again, he says, "Throw me the map and I'll
throw me the idol.
I'll throw you the whip." Yeah,
the kind of classic. The puzzle is just about him being anxious about leaving the gas on.
Yeah, and I like the fact that even when he's regenerated, he still doesn't look right. He's like all green, and he's got kind of skeletal teeth and stuff like that.
He's still kind of rotten.
I mean, you of course remember that he really freaked me out when I was a kid.
Yeah, I do.
To the point that I got so scared that our dad said, "Why don't we play a different game?"
I do. I remember that. We couldn't get. I had to play it without you. We should go.
Yeah.
We should do some scariest moments because there were a few for me as well.
Yeah, and I just thought that the one piratey element of Rap is that he does have little stockings and buckled shoes on. But he's and now I get to rest in the cool earth like a Steamin weenie in a fresh bun or whatever it is that he says. I think
that's a great sign-off.
Rap is really well implemented. It's so eerie going to... I know I'm always saying stuff in Monkey Island 2 is eerie, but there is, and there's so much imagery of like death and dying and having unfinished business and feeling uncertain about your life and who you are and that kind of thing.
The idea of casting a spell on ashes to bring the person back to life briefly is horrendous. It's when he disappears at the end, he gives you thumbs up. I think that's a little reference. Is that a reference to Terminator 2?
When did Terminator 2 come out?
You know who we should ask? Captain Fact LeChuck.
Captain Fact LeChuck will know. Terminator 2 came out in 1991, so I wonder.
I'll check the dates, but probably not.
Despite being released after Terminator 2 in 1991, I don't think this is a reference.
Yeah, Rap talking to meeting rappers, the whole thing is it still kind of gives me chills a bit now. Like, I don't think it's scary, but it's still...
It's one of the best scenes of the game. It's a great scene.
Yeah. It's like, how are you going to get the piece from this dude who's dead and was burned the fire? We'll just bring him back to life, you know, and just for a little while.
Yeah.
And the fact that he thinks he is like, whew, that was a close one, is the first thing he says.
Then you tell him that he's dead. He didn't make it.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. That's like his point of view is, it's like, and this is a very kind of bleak image.
Yeah.
It's like, there's no soul, there's no afterlife. It's just his remains... The continuity is from the instant that he died.
Yes.
To now.
The ashes are just sitting in the bottom of a coffin.
Yeah, in the casket. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good choice. I think you made the right choice there. All right, speaking of freaky characters, I think that brings me to my number one, Esteban.
Oh yeah, he was okay. Of course, he was going to be on my list if I was doing. Yeah, secret characters,
Yeah, so the three characters you can speak to in the first room of the scum are Mancom, Seepgood, Cobb, and Esteban.
Yeah.
And Esteban is the kind of... He spins you the tale of LeChuck, and he's living in fear. He's also lost an eye.
Possibly in a dart-related accident that he doesn't want to talk about.
Yeah, so he's the one that's truly terrified.
Yeah, he has that intense look of fear on his face when you talk to him.
Yeah, and I really like that atmosphere at the beginning of that game where, as LeChuck says, the pirates are so scared, they're afraid to take a bath.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's landlocked, they don't want to go out on the high seas and meet pirates because it's too scary.
Yep.
They're all freaked out. Yeah, and I think he kind of really embodies that, and he's kind of got that old... Kind of reminds me of the character in Dad's Army. What's his name? Fraser. You know, kind of has to make everything into this dramatic, scary story. And, you know, warns you off LeChuck and piracy things.
Yeah. One of the mysterious line uttered being, "What is the secret of Monkey Island? Only LeChuck knows." It's a bit like Billy Bones in Treasure Island in some respects.
Especially in these games, we've made a few allusions to Treasure Island.
Treasure Island,
which is kind of the classic pirate novel, I suppose. Classic pirate children's novel.
Yeah, definitely, and such a big influence on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride and pirate kind of...
And just all of those tropes surrounding all that pirate stuff.
It's, you know, people always talk with Monkey Island, they always talk about Tim Powers on Stranger Tides and the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. There's so much influence from Treasure Island and Peter Pan.
Yeah, absolutely.
These two huge influences on Secret.
So Stevenson and Barry are much more important than on Stranger Tides.
Yeah, I think so. Like, I definitely think there's like influence there, but you wouldn't have that on Stranger Tides without those older stories as well. But yeah, Esteban's great. And again, another character who I think was quite possibly also voiced the character who's coincidentally called Esteban in Escape.
Yeah, okay, because I looked this up.
Yeah, Jess Harnell in Special Edition Esteban and Esteban. Are they meant to somehow be the same person, even though they look completely different and have slightly different names?
Which one is Esteban in Escape?
Esteban is in... Esteban, I think, is what Elaine says, right, in Escape, yeah. But it's the same voice actor did Esteban in Secret Special Edition.
Okay, one of the chunky little pirates.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's weird. I wonder if they just saw them and they knew nothing about Escape and they thought, oh, we'll just get him.
I'm wondering if they thought it was meant to be the same character. Who knows? Because it's pretty specific.
Yeah, this is Miguati that we're getting into here. It's good.
Yeah,
it's good stuff.
But that's the thing is they were getting into that when they were making Special Edition or who voiced who in the later games and stuff like that.
Yeah, okay.
I love the way he looks.
Yeah.
Katu, I think, probably looks a bit better in the 256 color version than the VGA.
We should do an episode comparing the two.
EGA, I mean. We
should do a discussion comparing the two. I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
think you know I love the EGA.
I know.
But I think
he looks really freaky in the later updated version.
In the 256 color, he looks absolute crap in special edition.
Yeah.
But in the 256 color version, he looks really intense.
Yeah.
Which I like. The big droopy moustache and everything like that. It's also the fact that you come in and there are all these classic pirate characters who meet you, and then that things just get stranger and stranger and sillier from there.
The close-ups are really good in that.
Yeah.
Especially in that scum bar scene. And then you get Esteban there, and he looks all weird and freaky, and then you ask him about LeChuck, I think, and he kind of, his face changes and he kind of gets even more scared.
Those little changes in the face are really good. I think the close-ups, that they did with this and with the Loom, kind of missed in Revenge a little bit.
Yeah, well, as we know from those, there were going to be some close-ups.
Yeah, LeChuck, and you do get that weirdly higher resolution or closer up Guybrush in the Fisherman scene in Revenge, which is really strange.
It is weird.
It's for that one shot.
Yeah, why did they bother with that?
Different character model of Guybrush, which is really odd. But okay,
that's my whole list.
Yeah, no Carla.
It felt a bit weird leaving Carla off. Like I have a problem
Carla
with women or
was gonna be
something.
your number one.
I thought about it and I thought Carla doesn't really have much to say.
Yeah, but she's a good character.
Yeah, there are other good characters. Another one I thought of was the chef.
So sick of everybody.
Yes, sick of everyone coming out there. Also the storekeeper, the chef.
Yeah.
There are some good characters.
The important looking pirates. Yeah.
The important looking pirates I can take or leave, I think.
Oh.
I like the green one. He's my favourite.
Yeah, right. I always like the one on the right with the the hat with the
the black and red
studs or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Number one.
My number one is Kate Capsize.
Okay.
Of course. Not because she's, the most interesting character necessarily, but I just think Kate is a really solid character.
Yeah.
That when I was thinking of top 10 Revenge characters, I was just like, gotta have Kate on the list.
Yeah, well, she's definitely on the list I was gonna do if we were doing both.
I think the way that Kate's not associated with anything creepy or eerie or weird. She's just a woman who wants to make some money, taking a ship out, and I like the fact that she's one of the people who helps you, but she's just doing it for the payday, and you can insult her and make fun of her how small her ship is and stuff, and she'll just put up with it because you're her customer.
Yeah.
I like the fact that before you know her name, she's identified as Woman in Big Hat by the...
You love stuff like that.
The bar down below.
Yeah.
I like that. Woman in Big Hat. I like the gags if you try to pick up Kate. Guybrush will crack out the sleazy chat-up lines that she has.
What are you doing in a place like this? Trying to avoid creeps like you?
Yeah. Hey, you'd be in good hands with me. You can go be in your own hands. And stuff like that.
She's mentioned by the bartender on Scab.
Yeah, I like the idea that she sort of frequents the area, that she's bought all the near grog. How do you get a near grog? You have to frame her. You don't have to let her out.
Yeah, I always like the fact you don't have to let her out.
Yeah,
and you steal her stuff. But I usually do.
I always let Kate out, but she has a great theme music, which is of course the intro music for this very podcast.
Yeah, I was going to mention that.
Is Kate's theme.
Yeah.
Great character design with the big hat and the big coat.
Yeah.
Hawking the 3-hour tours, your Gilligan's Island reference there, glass-bottomed boats. That she was first mate on a ship that was looking for Big Whoop. You know, you can get more information that it's a island again that rhymes with inky.
Yep.
Of some description, and she wishes you good luck on your quest. But even though, you know, little does she know that you have been or will be the person who gets thrown in jail. I think it is possible, is it not, to get her thrown in jail before?
It is, yeah.
And if you do,
you've got to let her
obviously
out.
You've got to let her out, which is one of those things that I, again, think is quite clever. I almost always
do it afterwards.
Get Kate framed after I've found the Mad Monkey head, but I have done it the other way around before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got to let her out. And I always like the fact that she's another character that you use and then screw her over in order to get her head.
Yes.
That's great Guybrush 3-quid logic.
Yeah, especially revenge Guybrush. She's a bit similar to Elaine in some respects. She in that game.
Got red hair.
She's a bit more no nonsense than a lot of the other characters. But yeah, I think Kate's one of those characters, like, you know, some of the Woodtick characters like Wally and Dredd, etc., that really they're kind of the supporting cast of LeChuck's Revenge. You know, these various kind of allies, all of whom you screw over in some respect in the game. And I felt like Kate deserved a spot as kind of the representative of those characters, with, as I said, Wally and Dredd being too easy, too obvious to pick. So it had to be Kate.
Yeah, I think that was a good call. I also like that she's there, kind of gives a bit of life to Booty Island.
Yeah, exactly. She's another one of these characters who helps create this sense of activity and action in the world around you. And the fact that, you know, she shows up on Fat Island as well, you hear about her going to Scab, etc., creates more of a sense of the environment being connected. A character that's used really well for that purpose.
Yeah. Good choice. Well, I think that brings us to the end of our lists. I think that was quite good. I think we'll come back and revisit this at some point, and we'll do characters from Curse, Escape, and Tales.
I mean, definitely there are a lot of great characters in Curse.
Yeah, if there are any characters from Tales on those lists, I'll be surprised.
I can't think of any off the top of my head, but...
So yeah, I think we'll be back next time, hopefully, with finally Lair of the Leviathan.
Yeah.
And I can do a little tutorial on getting the Mac version of Tales to run on your modern computer.
That would be a good idea for any lost souls out there who are trying to...
It's probably just me. We can also discuss the fact that I don't think many people out there are playing Tales of Monkey Island.
No. Somehow I don't think that many people are playing this 13-year-old clunky adventure game.
Yeah, no, but plenty of people are playing a 30-year-old one.
Well, there's a reason.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Well, this has been Rubber Chicken with a podcast in the middle. I'm Alistair.
I'm Gordon.
And...
Look behind you! A 3-headed monkey!